and welcome back to Court Climbs. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite places to climb in Ohio. This is going to be just a list of the top rope and sport climbing areas, although some of these places will have bouldering as well. It's no surprise that Ohio is a relatively flat state, but with that being said, there's still plenty of smaller crags and things to keep you busy that have a variety of different styles and difficulties of climbs. I know last summer Jed and I went pretty much every weekend we could climbing, and a lot of it was in Ohio itself, so there is plenty to do at least for a little while. So something to keep in mind about Ohio climbing is that if it rains, you should wait at least 2 days to climb on any of the rocks here, because a lot of it is sandstone and it's not good for the rocks to climb on it when it's wet. If you haven't seen any of our Ohio climbing adventure vlogs, you should go check those out after you get done watching this video to see the crags in a lot more detail. If you're new here, become a subscriber today. It really does help me out and you'll get to see new climbing videos every Wednesday. Alright, with that, let's get started. The top 5 favorite spots to climb in Ohio. So coming in at number 5 is Beach City Nature Preserve. Full disclosure, we have only been to Beach City once, and when we went there, it was fun, but I'm not entirely sure that for what it is, we will go back unless we're down in that area already for something else. The approach is one of the longest approaches that I've seen in Ohio, being about a mile long. So it's always been one of my dreams to name a route, and at Beach City, there were 2 unnamed bolted routes, and Jen and I submitted our names to them for Mountain Project, and we actually got them approved. So there is now a couple of, I believe, 5'10" routes down there. One is called The Farmer Says Ow, because it hurts your hands really bad to climb it. And the other route is called Real Boy, after my friend Therese saying that she was a real boy the first time she ever went to the Red. So yeah, kind of cool to name routes down there. Besides those 2 bolted routes, the rest of it is all top rope. Beach City is nothing crazy spectacular, but it is a fun crag to go visit if you're down in that area for the day. One thing about Beach City is that there is a lack of parking. At least on the day that we went, it was really crowded. So if you want to climb there, I would recommend getting there really early, or else you might not have a good parking spot. Coming in at number 4 is Whips Ledges. Whips Ledges is up near Hinckley, kind of a little bit south of Cleveland, and this is the first spot that Jed and I ever went outdoor climbing. So it kind of holds a bit of a special place in my heart. Whips is all top rope for the most part, but it does have a few bolted anchors at the top, which is really nice. One thing about Whips that I would highly recommend is bringing quite a bit of tubular webbing with you so that you can build anchors off trees and things at the top and go about it that way. If you don't have a lot of tubular webbing, it does get kind of difficult to build effective anchors there. So that would be something I would recommend. Whips is a really good area if you're just looking for some chill 30 to 40 feet routes. It has a couple of different sections. I personally really like the Christ Died area. And then it also has what they call the Island, which is kind of like a separate crag. You can climb on all sides of it, which is kind of unique rather than just one face. A couple of my favorite routes at Whips Ledges are probably Appearing Handholds, which is this 5'9", that it's exactly what it sounds like. You really have to search for the handholds until they appear. And then I also like the crack. There's this crack climb in the Christ Died area that is, it's a pretty easy crack climb. I'm not a huge crack climbing fan, but I really did like that crack climb. Overall at Whips, there's about 85 routes. Only one of those is sport, but I actually have never climbed that sport route. And then there's also 13 trad routes. Whips Ledges also has a super easy approach. It's like 5 to 10 minutes from the parking lot to go climb there, so that's always really nice. Next up on the list at number 3 is Logtown. So climbing at Logtown, there's about 38 sport routes, 14 top rope routes, and then around 30 trad routes as well. So when you first come in, there's going to be the pit that has some trad routes. Then there's going to be the front wall that has a good variety of easy sport routes. And if you can get up and over the continuous slabby ledge on those easier sport routes, it's really good, easy climbing. And then around the corner, there's another wall, which is actually where some of the more interesting routes come in. On the front wall, I kind of felt like it was more just like pull yourself up to a ledge, stand, pull yourself up to a ledge, stand, which, you know, has its place. But around the corner is some of the more difficult routes and the routes that make you say, how the heck do I get to the top of this? So there's a route, I actually believe it's called Footloose and Fancy Free, something like that. Jen and I still are stumped on how to get to the top of that one. So that would be a route that if you go to Logtown, I would highly recommend trying out, because even though it's hard, it is a lot of fun. Another cool thing about Logtown is there's actually a really long bike trail that runs near it. So if you're into biking, that might be a nice thing. You could go climb and then also go for a bike ride. So coming in at number 2 is Marne's Road near Columbus, Ohio. I love climbing at Marne's. The approach is literally like 100 feet off of the highway, which sounds kind of bad because you can get all the road noise, but it's also super convenient because it's not a far walk from where the parking lot is. Now they do want you to park kind of down the road and cross over a bridge, not park on the actual side of the highway. That is one thing that if people park on the side of the highway, there's going to start being like access issues because people don't want you doing that. So if you do go to Marne's Road, make sure that you park in the parking lot down the way. And there's a lot of good instructions on Mountain Project on how to do that. Marne's Road features my favorite route in the entire state, which is a 5-9+ called Silver Streaks. It's this really cool route that it's pretty easy climbing, and then when you get to the top, it's a chimney. And there's not a lot of chimney routes in Ohio, at least ones that I found, so it's a pretty cool feature. It also features a lot of like lower grade level sport routes. So Marne's Road is mostly sport routes. So it's gonna have a variety of all different difficulties. There's a lot of more slabby face type of climbs that are lower grades. And then there's also a really overhung roof section that has some perma-draws to clip. And then if you go around the corner to the very end of the crag, there is some 512s, like mid-grade 512s that are like super slabby. Haven't tried them, but they look incredibly difficult. And I think that they're relatively new because Marne's itself is a relatively new crag. One of the nice things about Marne's too is because it's relatively new, it's generally not that busy. I know that one of the times that we were there, we were the only people there. It was a Saturday, it was a gorgeous day, and the only people there besides us were some boulders down the way, because Marne's also does have some good bouldering. I just really like the style of climbing that Marne's has, and I enjoy that the routes are taller than a lot of the other crags in the state. So the best place, in my opinion, to climb in Ohio is the Mad River Gorge. So the Mad River Gorge has a lot of different options of crags to go to. The crags are about 30 to 40 feet for most of the routes, but there's a lot of different styles of climbing at the Mad River Gorge, and it's super well maintained because the Ohio Access Coalition has taken really good care of the area. So there's wooden staircases and natural staircases to get down to all the crags. There's trails in between the different crags that are also well maintained and very clearly marked with good signage. So like many of the approaches in Ohio, the nice thing about the Mad River Gorge is that you can get from the parking lot to the climbing in about 5 minutes of a walk. The Mad River Gorge has 86 different sport routes. It has about 15 different trad routes and then 3 just plain old top rope routes. The Mad River Gorge also features a ton of bouldering, which I haven't done any bouldering there yet, but I know that there is a lot of it. The first time that I went to the Mad River Gorge, I remember feeling like I was in a fairy tale because it was so green and mossy and everything just looked so cool. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to climb. It does have a river that kind of runs right along by it, which is always really nice if you can climb near water. My favorite route at the Mad, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you'll know this, is a route called Slippery When Wet, which is a 510. and it's just a really great route. There also is a route that's a 512B that's called Trash Compactor that gets 4 stars on mountain projects. So if you can climb, in the mid-range 512, I would recommend checking that out because I've heard really good things about it. One of the cool things about the Mad River Gorge is that they have a climbing festival called Rock the Mad every year, where a bunch of climbers get together, you eat food, you drink beer, you just hang out, climb, play some games. So that's a really unique feature about the Mad because not a lot of the other crags in Ohio have climbing festivals. So at the end of the day, sure, Ohio is not going to be like Colorado or West Virginia or any state that has, big real mountains, but there is plenty of climbing to be had in Ohio, especially for the beginner to intermediate climber and someone that's just going out looking to get their feet wet. But there also are a variety of actually really difficult climbs in Ohio as well, so it definitely shouldn't be just completely discounted. I know that I've really enjoyed living here in Ohio in general and climbing. If you're an Ohio climber, I would love to hear your thoughts on some of your favorite crags, some of your favorite routes. I would also love to climb with you, so hit me up on Instagram. I'll go ahead and put my Instagram handle right here. Go ahead and just send me a DM if you ever want to climb together, and we'll see if we can get our schedules worked out and get climbing at some crags. If you found this video to be helpful, I would really appreciate if you gave it a like. It will help tell YouTube, hey YouTube, you should let this video be seen by more people because it was helpful to me and I think it'll be helpful to them. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay hyped.